Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Wednesday, April 16th, 2025 Business Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Clyde Duplantis.
Here.
Ms. Buckland Charpentier. Here. Ms. Tina Babin.
Here.
Thank you. Item 2, insurance. To receive a quarterly performance report on the self-funded medical plan as presented by Mr. Buddy Leday of Gallagher Benefit Services Incorporated. What are you for?
Thank you, sir. So yeah, this is April, so we've got 3 months of data. So I'll briefly just go over where we're at. Again, we go back 4 ways on this, just to show the history. So I did tell Delilah before the meeting, I said, this is the last one. We're going to have 13 and 14 and 15. We're going to knock those off. So again, we're going to shorten the report a little bit. This is just a way to take all the data we collect from a whole lot of different sources and simplify for you guys to look at and get a snapshot of what the plans, how the plan's performing. What you'll see first off is the first column, 2025, January claims about 1.9 million, almost 2 million in February, and again in March. So it's running pretty consistently on a month-to-month basis, not consistently good, not consistently terrible, but about where it's targeted right now. So at the bottom, you'll see the gross claims year to date. And I just think it's eye-opening for people to see this. This is the actual claims that are being paid by the school district through 3 months for the employees and the retirees who are not yet 65 and Medicare eligible. And that's almost $6 million in just 3 months, guys. So it's a lot to keep a health insurance plan in place. Specific reinsurance reimbursements, that's some money that's actually coming over this year coming in from people who hit specific last year. So remember, the first $300,000 of every person's claims comes from the district. Anything over that comes from reinsurance. We actually had one person on the plan that had over $1 million in claims last year. So we were reimbursed a lot of money on that particular individual. And so hopefully that gets better in the future. Drug rebates and subsidies. I want to touch on that for a second. This is quarterly. We get these subsidies. We get these rebates that come back to us. The subsidies, not the same way because the subsidies have to do with the Medicare program and we have a fully insured plan now. But this is the year, and I brought this up before, that we're supposed to go out to an RFP for pharmacy, right? And that's something we conduct at Gallagher. We're in the 3rd year of our program with Elixir, which turned into Med Impact like last year. It switched names. And this is a way that we go out and we keep them honest. The intention is to keep them. The intention is to continue with their program and that they give us a proposal that's the most competitive from a financial standpoint. By doing that, we avoid any type of disruption. However, in the past, we have had to move because some of the proposals we gotten were saving $4, $5, $6 million over a 3-year span versus prior contracts. So we're going to look at that again this year. Again, we're going to give them every opportunity to retain the business, but they're going to have to compete with other pharmaceutical programs. And we're going to go to several of them to try and get the best possible proposal. And then we do that on a 3-year contract basis, guys. So that's something, we get it last time. And of course, anytime you change that, people got to change their pharmacies. There's a little bit of bumps in the road. We got through it. Things are going smooth right now for the most part. So we really hope we can keep it that way. But that's our job to go find out if we can. So then it shows net claims after those reimbursements and rebates, fixed costs, the Humana premium. So the fixed cost, again, that's your reinsurance premium plus administrative costs. Humana at $552. I want to touch on that real quick. Remember, I gave y'all the scary picture last year of what Humana tried to do and come back on a 2-year rate guarantee. We fought really hard for the district to keep it at that same rate for the 2nd year in a row. Their warning was, next year it's gonna be ugly because we're gonna have to make up for what we wanted to do this year. If you watch the news, there was recently a big influx from the administration on the federal level back into CMS to Medicare to try to offset some of these potential increases that Medicare Advantage programs are expecting. We're aware of it. We let Humana know we're aware of it and that there is some more dollars coming in to offset some of the prior administration's rules that were put in place. So we are hoping that ultimately that will affect the renewal of Humana. Again, we can avoid disruption and keep what we have, but we are already out to market on that, just to let you guys know, in anticipation of what we might see. So we are going to the major carriers in the Medicare Advantage space for groups. to see what else is out there right now. Again, keep them honest, create competition and so forth. But the goal ultimately is to stay with Humana. Okay. And then it shows total annual cost year to date, average number enrolled, employee retiree funding, school board level funding, and then that additional funding, that's $1 million over the course of the 3 months, which is within the budget that was set prior, that Chastity puts extra money in the budget to add to the plan for that level funding. And in total, what that turns into, about 70% is being funded by the district and about 30% by employees and retirees in total. And then it shows you a monthly average of 1.9, which is slightly better than last year's monthly average. So anytime we could get a year where it's not going up, especially due to increased costs in healthcare and especially due to medical trend on the pharmaceutical, that's good. So we are hoping that we have a healthy bunch. We don't have a whole lot of people needing to take very high cost pharmaceuticals, because they have pharmaceuticals out there right now that run anywhere from 150,000 to 1.5 million a year, and they exist, and people are on them. So we hope that that doesn't happen. Any questions, guys? All right, guys.
Questions?
My phone's always on. Call me anytime.
Thank you for your report.
All right, guys.
Item 3, finance, to receive the millage rate resolution for rates that apply to the 2025 assessed rolls and take appropriate action.
Be it resolved that the following millages are hereby levied on the 2025 tax roll on all property subject to taxation by the Lafourche Parish School Board. Constitutional is 3.68 mills with millage key 104.7062. Air conditioning maintenance 7.59 mills at millage key 104.7070. Retirement obligations 2.3 mills, millage key 104.7097. Safety 4.505 mills, millage key 104.7099. General maintenance 7.59 mills, millage key 104.7063. Salary supplement 7.59 mills with millage key 104.7069. And debt service at 14.1 mills, and that breakdown is 721 of 2007 proposition 7.05 mills, millage key 1047068, 421 2012 proposition 0.85 mills, millage key 1047096, and 429 2017 proposition is 6.2 mills, millage key 1047100. Be it further resolved that the proper administrative officials of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, be, and they are hereby empowered, authorized, and directed to spend said taxes as herein above set forth upon the assessment roll of said parish for the year 2025, and to make the collection of the taxes imposed for and on behalf of the taxing authority according to law, and that the taxes herein levied shall become a permanent lien and privilege on all property subject to taxation as herein set forth, and collection thereof shall be enforceable in the manner provided by law.
We have a recommended action to adopt the millage rate resolution for the rates that apply to the 2025 assessed rolls.
Have a motion? Mr. Babbitt? Second by Mr. Robinson. All right, do I have any comment from the public? Any from board members? Okay, with none, I ask you to please vote. And it does pass. Thank you. Item B, to consider authorizing advertisement for bids through the purchasing department for frequently purchased equipment and supplies for the upcoming 2025-2026 fiscal year. This is Jennifer.
Good evening. Every year I come before you and request permission to advertise for our frequently used commodities, equipment, and supplies. So I'm coming back to request for advertisement for these items as we need them throughout the next week.
Recommended action is Recommend authorizing advertisement for bids through the purchasing department for frequently purchased equipment and supplies, including a janitorial and paper products, the toner, printer, IT equipment and supplies, the office equipment and supplies, the maintenance supplies and small equipment for the upcoming 25-26 fiscal year.
We have a motion, Mrs. Charbonnet, one, and second, Mrs. Bavin. Any comments from the public? Any from board members, questions? If none, I should please vote. It does pass also. Item C, to receive reports on requests for proposals for emergency environmental services and take appropriate action. Mrs. Jennifer.
Recommended action is to receive reports on requests for proposals for emergency environmental services and award the highest scored, most responsive and responsible bidder, J.S. Held, as the district's emergency environmental service provider.
Motion? Motion from Mrs. Bavin, second by Mrs. Charbonnet. Any questions from the public?
One question. We run consulting engineers. At some point, will we be able to get the scoring so we can evaluate that as a firm?
As soon as the regular board.
Any other questions from the public? Any from the board? None, I ask you please vote. Motion passes. Item D, to award the lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder for district limestone services. Mrs. Jennifer?
Yes, recommended action is to award the lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder, Grand Isle Shipyard, for 57 limestone at $56.92 per ton and 610 crushed limestone at $54.23 per ton.
Motion, Mrs. Batman first, second, Mr. Charbonnet. Any comments from the public or questions? Any from the board? If none, I ask you please vote. Item passes. Item E, to receive a report on the proposal received for routing services associated with the implementation and the building of routes within the routing software. Chris?
So, as we work through the Tyler Technologies software that we've recently purchased for routing purposes, it is really, really intensive as far as to the point of currently any established bus stop, you physically have to go to the software and place a stop one by one. So if you think of how many buses are currently running, and then each driver having 3 routes, a high school, a middle school, then an elementary, every time the driver stops and opens that door, we have to establish that as a stop in the system. So it's really the route building piece that is quite tedious and takes a lot of time. So what we're requesting is that we utilize First Student or route building assistance. So we establish criteria such as a high school and middle school age child. We want to keep under a half-mile threshold when it comes to I'm leaving my front door and I'm going to catch the bus. Upper elementaries is a quarter, lower elementaries is a tenth of a mile. So we build these criteria into the system. And it's not as though the system just automatically spits out a route. It's a lot more than that. So I'm saying all that because First Student does a lot of the work in the background through consultation with us or our department. And I've asked questions such as, because if you've looked over the attached document, it shows like a 3-year kind of rate progression. So I said, we do this for year 1 to get our feet underneath us and get this system off the ground. What are we buying in year 2? Like, what does that look like? So, eventually after a given school year, you lose a group of seniors and you inherit a group of pre-Kers or nursery, whatever age they are. And then, so you go through the same process again. Now, some stops obviously remain stops for years because these kids follow the progression until they graduate. But it's the manpower that it takes to get this system up and running. I've communicated to Ms. Email and Mr. Martin. Do I potentially see a day and time to where we're much more educated on the system and the functionality of the system, and we would be able to relinquish, the need for the services? That's our goal. But there's a hesitancy of just all of a sudden trying to flip a switch, and nobody wants to flip a switch until we're obviously fully ready to do so. And this service will aid our department tremendously in getting this product off the ground. And that's really the rationale behind it. Questions for me?
So the recommended action is to authorize the superintendent to enter into an agreement with First Services / First Student for routing services for a 3-year period in the amount of $203,991.
Motion? Mr. Davenport, second, Mr. Sharpton. Any questions from the public or concerns? Any from the board? Questions? Mr. Davenport?
So I do have a question. When we enter into this agreement, is it like a 3-year contract that we can walk away from at the end of 3 years, but we have to keep it for 3 years, right?
Actually, we've requested a clause in there, because of Mr. Martin's request, where there's a 30 to 45 day window of I just want to opt out because I want to opt out with no reason necessarily being required. So it's in there as well. So
the specific language, I'll help you, Mr. Arnold.
yeah, because I didn't memorize it.
Give me 1 second. One second. If either party violates any of the covenants or duties, such violation, etc., the non-defaulting party shall give 30 days written notice, right? So there's a 30 days clause, and that's not the section. But either party can terminate this agreement for convenience upon 45 days written notice to the other party. So if this service is not the benefit to his agency that we anticipated is, with written notice 45 days, we're out.
I was just surprised at the projected fees. I was surprised that instead of it being like heavy at the top and decreased, it was actually the opposite. It increased.
I asked, and what is the rationale behind the increase? And the percent of increase each year is 3%. Like why am I paying more when the baseline of work has already been completed? And I don't know that I have the best answer to that question, but I had the same questions. And they just kind of explained, like, we repeat this process. Now again, why does the cost increase? I don't have the best answer for that.
And I understand, like, I just feel like I had to ask. I'm sorry. Like,
No.
Like, it seems like you said, the baseline would be done, and then we go from there.
It's a repeat.
Mr. Arnold, can you also speak on that front? The other product we're getting is a byproduct of this product, which has a $20,000 value.
Yeah, so they right now are hopefully awaiting the news that this document or this request has approved and those things. But they then in turn take all of the data that I was just referencing as far as currently our routes exist in Excel spreadsheet. And it's no more than here, it's in Excel. Ms. Babin's route, for Thibodeau High School, this is where she stopped. So we then would share those Excel spreadsheets with them. They take all of yours, every stop you have, they take all of each of our drivers' stops, and they build that part that I was talking about earlier that just takes hours and hours of time. One run, what they call it a run, we call it route, but takes approximately 5 hours, like just one. So if you do some quick math and you have 3 yourself, because I know you have 6 total, not you, but a driver has in essence, Miss Tammy back there, and Chris, like a driver actually has, I'm gonna say 6, but the afternoon's a repeat. So they build 3. In the afternoon, they just do it in reverse. So each driver's having 3 routes, times the number of drivers, times that many hours. It takes a long time. And we want to be able to get to utilize the software as quickly as possible, and so that we're not 10 months in and we still haven't been able to fully utilize what we purchased a year ago.
I just want you to know, I completely agree, and I think it's great. Like, I'm all for this, the software, like, I think it's amazing. It's gonna be game changer for our bus drivers and our kids on buses. I just wanted to understand why. Like, fiscally had to ask the question. Thank you.
So, I don't know their level of manpower, but what's our expected complete upload of all of the data if we approve this?
And it's in here, but they told me, like, when they're giving a thumbs up, it's about a 3 to 6 week
Okay.
part on a job for them, because they assign X number of individuals to it, and they just chip away at it. Daily.
Any additional questions? War? If not, I ask you please vote.
Yes, for benefit.
Motion passes. Item F, to consider recommended revisions to the 2024-2025 salary schedule as presented by Chastity Email, Business Manager.
I am recommending the following changes to the 2024-2025 salary schedule. We are including the intention and approval to issue performance pay stipends based upon the rubrics found on page 7 and 9 for teachers and administrators, and to add a level 5 to each of the rubrics for those employees earning an exemplary rating on their performance review. Briefly explain the stipends, the district was allocated $312,519 for differentiated compensation as a separate appropriation by the legislative budget. It is required by legislature that the spending of these funds is included in the salary schedule and approved by the board. I didn't have this figure at the time. We approved the salary schedule last year, therefore I am asking for an amendment, and the amendment can be found on pages 4 and 46 in the blue text. The 2023-2024 funding was received in the same manner, received and used it for the same manner, and our employees really expressed appreciation when it was issued. And then the addition of the exemplary rating can be found on pages 7 and 9 in the blue text. If there are any questions, Mr. Lee or Ms. Tiffany, then I will let you. So the recommended action is to approve the recommended revisions.
First by Mrs. Babin, second by Mr. Charpentier. Any questions from the public? Any from board members? None, please vote. Item passes. Item G, to receive monthly budget to actual report for all major funds for the period through March 31st, 2025.
Major funds of the 2025 audit were the general fund, the 1995 sales tax salary restricted fund, salary supplement fund, the 2021 construction funds, which will provide a report to you in the land and facilities meeting, and the hurricane recovery fund. Activity through the month ending March 31st includes the general fund. As indicated on page 3 of the statement, 75.6% of the revenue budgeted has been received for a total of $87,865,013. Of this amount, $58.47 million is the minimum foundation program. As indicated on page 20 of the statement, 84.1% of the expenditures budget has been expended or obligated for a total of $132,805,914. The 1995 sales tax salary restricted fund, as indicated on page 21, 62.6% of the revenue budgeted has been received, totaling $10,987,781, and 136% of the budgeted expenditures totaling $13,364 has been expended. Again, any necessary budget amendments will be brought to you in May of 2025. The salary supplement fund, as indicated on page 23, 97.1% of the revenue budgeted has been received, totaling $6,043,460, and 98.2% of the budgeted expenditures, totaling $207,026, has been expended. That's a month-to-date report on our major fund.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, with none, we'll move on to item H. To receive a periodic budget to actual report for non-major proprietary funds through March 31st, 2025.
The legislative auditors required that we present a quarterly report to you on our proprietary funds, and those funds include the Group Health Fund, the Loss Control Fund, and the Workers' Compensation Fund. As included on the report, these three funds have a deficit in funding as compared to expenditures in the amount of $5,973,882. This figure is subject to change for the following reason. The Group Health Insurance Fund, we have a transfer in from the general fund that is pending, and it will occur within the next month or so. The Loss Control Fund annual premiums will be transferred once we account for the payment of our property insurance, and the Workers' Comp Fund will be monitored, and if necessary, a transfer will occur. All of these funds are being monitored, and necessary adjustments will be brought to your attention in May of 2025.
Thank you. Any questions? Move on to item I, to receive financial report on Hurricane Ida response and recovery to date.
The total amount expended through March 31st, 2025 for Hurricane Ida expenditures is $140,562,999. No FEMA reimbursements were received in March 2025. We did get word that there is a freeze on FEMA reimbursements, but we are still submitting documentation and information to them for approval when they freeze. The total aggregate of reimbursement from FEMA as of March 31st is $64,693,149. Of the amount received, $14,693,149 was submitted to Hancock Whitney as payment of interest and principal on the hurricane loan. The total amount submitted for reimbursement and the total amount obligated by FEMA is $79,076,911.
Any questions? None. I ask that we move on to item J, to receive a report on audit findings from the 2024 annual comprehensive financial report.
So again, I have to report to you because until these findings are cleared by the auditor or until we receive the reports that are needed for these findings each month, we are, as I stated earlier, the budget is being reviewed and will be brought to you in May of 2025 should there be budget amendments necessary. All transactions And then, a review of critical applications and functions will be conducted, and, those reports will be received hopefully within May and September.
Questions? Item number 4, transportation, to receive a report of the transportation events from the previous month. Mr. Arnold.
Touching back with Tyler Technologies right quick. So we had a meeting earlier this week with a number of our lead drivers in our office, because Ms. Danny and I had previously scheduled one of our training sessions with Tyler. So I invited the lead drivers to come and observe the training taking place. Afterwards, I was then able to have a small group setting with the lead drivers to show them the functionality of the camera systems while we await, the progression of the routing. But I showed them everything that the camera system is capable of and how much of a benefit it has already been to us. For example, when I pull up any bus and I click on any date, it shows the route taken of that bus. I can click anywhere on that route and it'll fast forward me to the camera feed associated with that given timestamp. Some of the benefits of this that I was explaining to the drivers, even on the screen, it shows anytime a driver turns their blinker on. It shows anytime a driver turns on their amber lights, their stop arms, and it gives timestamp, and it shows you how long the amber lights were on, how long the stop arms were out. So it's already in my mind, when it comes to professional development and just reviewing what good driving should look like. We have many examples already. And then maybe not what good driving looks like, whether I'm rolling while my stop arms are out. So it's a very good resource for us. They were really impressed because there's a tablet in their bus right now that shows live feed, but that's all they know. But I can't wait already to future PDs sessions that I can show them all the functions of the system and just go into greater detail of all the benefits. It's not meant to be a gotcha. I want it to be a tool that we can grow from and give real life examples that are occurring in our district, not in other states. This is what's happening for us right now. So I think the lead drivers that were able to attend really enjoyed it. They were, I think, amazed if you were to speak to any of them. Ms. Danny and I also traveled to Livingston Parish today to complete the driving portion for CDL licensure. So we're both passed and now CDL license holders. So that's done with. We recently hired 2 drivers to bring our total to 93 drivers right now. And you can, in the report, I included the number of drivers we just acknowledged in March for perfect attendance, which was 53, which you think at that point we had 91 drivers because 2 of them have just been hired. But you had 53 perfect attendance for a month out of 91 at that time, which is pretty darn good in my opinion. And the number of drivers that have not missed a day so far this spring semester is 23 as opposed to 8 in the fall. So they noticed the acknowledgement, and I think the Facebook post was a good thing as well because
Thank you for that.
they know. So Ms. Bolden, thank you for getting that out there. But they take note of all those things, and as much as we can acknowledge their efforts, we want to. So kudos to each of those individuals. And then I think the last thing was just that over the month of June, or during the month of June, Tyler Technologies will be on site to install the hardware that's going to eventually hold the routing tablet. The tablets will be on hand, just kind of waiting so everything's ready to go, so that the drivers can then be trained during professional development on how to use the tablet. The tablet will be used for pre-tripping. The tablet is also capable of you know, if I were to pre-trip my bus and, there's a tail light that's out, I can actually take a picture with that tablet and a service order is in essence created. So, it automates a lot of our paper-based documents that exist right now. But when we're fully implemented with both of these things, it's going to be a really good situation we're in. I think that's the latest and greatest
What?
transportation.
I just wanted to comment how impressive it was that so many of you bus drivers showed up.
Yes, at the groundbreaking,
Yes.
I'm glad you brought that up
Yes, that
because
was
we
very
did have a good turnout, again, on time that is their time, you know, but it was
Yes,
great
yes.
to see a number of them there, so it's
They
a big
seem
deal.
excited about the idea of that opening.
We did too. We appreciate them being there.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Song. All right, so before we close, during the meeting, last month I started something, and I will continue it again this month. Donnie and Marie Osmond used to close their show with a little saying, and I'm gonna give it to y'all now. May tomorrow be the perfect day. May you find love and laughter along the way. May God keep you in his tender care till he brings us together again. Good night, everybody.